want to get to federal politics now. I'm going to catch up with National Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie in Canberra. Thanks for joining us, Bridget. Well, I talked at the top of the program about some of what Twiggy Forrest had to say yesterday. He's very critical of a lot of politicians, including especially the Nationals. It's so surprising to hear a mining magnate talk in emotive terms and economically kind of fanciful terms that we normally hear from Greta Thunberg or Adam Baird.
Yeah, Chris, great to be with you. I think Twiggy doesn't let his emotions get in the way of making money. And the reality is this guy is in receipt of tens of millions of dollars of Australian taxpayer subsidies in order to, create green hydrogen. Good on him. But he needs to declare that conflict of interest before he starts espousing his green ideology. The reality is, as you know, and your opening was just bang on, we are a rich and wealthy country because of our natural resources, coal, gas and uranium, but also that we've had access to cheap, reliable energy for so long. And that is all at risk now under the Labor Party's policies, both state and federal.
Now, you mentioned the subsidies. Twiggy Forrest or his companies get subsidies on green hydro plans or projects in Australia and also in America. So he certainly has an interest in some of these subsidies. Let me show you a little bit more of what he had to say. Well, we're declaring it for him right now, Senator.
He doesn't declare it.
We're declaring it right now for him. I want to show you a little bit more of what he has to say about the competition, I suppose, or the comparison between renewables and nuclear energy.
Who's going to pay the nuclear electricity bill when it's 4 to 5 times more expensive than the renewables next door? Even ignoring the decade or two plus it takes to develop nuclear. And how hopeless is it that a politician says they want to wait for new technology in 20 years' time? That may never happen. It's just an excuse for doing nothing.
Yeah, the fascinating thing about this argument, I think, Bridget McKenzie, and I think it's encouraging really for those who support nuclear technology, because we know it's powering major cities, major economies around the world at the moment. So we know the technology is there. And if the only argument against nuclear is economic, then great, get rid of all the legal impediments and let people put up proposals, because I'm certain France and the UK and the US and South Korea and China and the rest of them are not doing this to send themselves broke.
Absolutely, Chris. I couldn't agree with you more. We compete with these developed countries on the international trade environment, and they're availing themselves of this technology going forward into what's going to be a low emissions future. I've come back, I was on the sidelines of Dubai at COP28 at a net zero nuclear conference where 20 other countries, including our closest allies, are committed to tripling nuclear energy production over coming decades so that net zero can be realised. And I just, one of the most difficult things for us in a transition situation is that we're a big country with sparsely spread out population, which is partly why the transmission and renewable story is challenging for us at a social and an economic level. But a country like Canada is very, very similar. And in Ontario right now, 60% of their energy is produced by nuclear, and their energy bills, their electricity bills, are half of what they are here in Australia. So I would love to see the numbers that Twiggy's using, because, also the length of time to build one. Baraka, started construction 2012, delivering electricity to the UAE by 2020, 8 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Senator. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to talk about an energy transition that is slow and expensive and experimental, talk about the transition to renewables. As the Senator just said, if we wanted to build some significant nuclear power operations, it could happen easily inside a decade, long before that date of 2050 that seems to be so fixated in the minds of these people.